Welcome to In the Zone, National Flood Experts Project Spotlight Series. I'm DJ McClure, our VP of Business Development. I'm here today with Payton Duvall, Transaction Coordinator from Patriot Holdings. Very excited to talk about some of our projects. Hi, Payton.
Hi.
Well, thanks again for taking some time today. We've had a pretty long relationship now that we're building, working together. So I'm excited that we can jump into a few of the projects. You want to tell everyone just a little bit about yourself and a bit about Patriot Holdings as well?
Sure. So Patriot Holdings is a commercial real estate investment company. We focus primarily on self-storage and mobile home parks. The vast majority of our assets are throughout the Northeast, but we do have some in other states. And as transaction coordinator, my job is to work with the attorneys, title company, sellers, get all of our third-party reports together, evaluate all the due diligence, and get the transaction ready to close.
And so flood zones, somewhere along the line became, I'm sure, quite a bit of a pain point in those transactions, would you say?
Yes. So we definitely evaluate to see if it's in a flood zone. We understand that the insurance costs are going to be higher in a flood zone. And so we were excited to meet with y'all and see how we could reduce those costs.
Yeah, so I understand we were introduced by one of your insurance brokers at We Insurance, I believe. So it's always nice when the referrals happen in that regard. They're a group we've known for a while.
Yep. We've been working with World Insurance for a while. They insure all of our self-storage facilities. We got a project under contract that was in a flood zone, and so they introduced us to y'all to see if you could help us relieve that extra cost.
Yeah, no, that's great. I think I misspoke. Yeah, World Insurance, definitely a great group that's, pretty savvy on the flood side. So we've looked at quite a few projects. I think to this point, we're north of 10 projects that we've reviewed, and it seems like we've been able to find a solution on about half, pretty close to, I want to say about 40,000 in annual savings to this point. So what's your experience been like, working with Barrett on our team, going through all these projects together?
Barrett has been wonderful. He's been super responsive and helpful in explaining the process and working with us. We send over the information on the property. They evaluate it, see if it's likely or not that the flood zone could be appealed. He's been working diligently on our properties, and customer service has been excellent. So it's really been a wonderful relationship.
That's great to hear. And most recently, I think we've had some conversations around some development projects. So talk to me a little bit about those a bit.
Yes, so we often buy vacant land that we develop into self-storage and sometimes small bay industrial. And we bought a piece of land, I believe it was in Bennington, Vermont, and it was in a flood zone, but Barrett was able to work with our engineers and make sure we got the elevation to the point where we could get it out of the flood zone. So it was a great way to reduce our overall insurance costs. We were able to get that appealed and put the buildings at an elevation to where the flood requirements were no longer needed.
Fantastic. Now, for other self-storage type investors, so what type of impact has it had on the property valuation for you all being able to reduce, the flood insurance costs?
Well, decreased costs obviously impacts our NOI, which impacts the overall value of the property. It also has been great when we turn around and try and sell these properties. We can say, hey, we've gotten the flood zone requirements removed. This property is now more valuable. Your costs are going to go down. So it's really a win-win and helps with our bottom line significantly.
Yeah, it's really tough to acquire properties these days. So, these kinds of savings, I'm sure, can be, a nice differentiator to attracting more buyers.
Yes. And a lot of buyers shy away from flood zones because of the extra requirements and having to deal with lenders and the special insurance needs. And it's been really nice to say, hey, we got this appealed, and, there's that value add already built in.
Yeah, it's a bit of an unspoken value add strategy that I think more and more people are learning about, but still very much not as commonly known as you all are now, of course. So how has this changed your underwriting strategy for new projects that you guys are looking to acquire?
So we've had a couple instances where we were looking at a project, and before we got it under contract, we discovered it was in a flood zone. I would send it over to Barrett, say, hey, do you think this is something that could be appealed? He would go and do his due diligence. In one particular case, he was very confident that we could get it appealed. So we're able to remove the extra flood insurance cost from our underwriting, see how that project would work. And then once we got it under contract, he moved forward, and it was a successful appeal, and that was able to save us some money on the back end.
That's fantastic. Yeah. And I noticed too that, we've done projects over several states. And so that's one thing that's, always interesting to share, that it's not just the coastal areas. We were all across, I think New Hampshire, Vermont, Massachusetts. So Michigan. Yeah. So it's really everything in between.
Yes, and that's really nice because, we work with a couple engineering firms up in the Northeast, and, they've told us that they can help, appeal some of this stuff too, but their scope is very limited to just a few states. So it's really nice to be able to go to y'all as a one-stop shop and get the national coverage, and we don't have to worry about working with multiple vendors, and y'all can assist us wherever we decide to expand.
Yeah, we've done projects in about 46 states now. So about anywhere you can go, we probably have touched the ground and had a bit of success. So, we look forward to expanding the footprint. Well, just one more question. What advice would you have for other, operators or other companies in a similar situation with properties, in a flood zone?
I would say, y'all are a great relationship to look into. Like I said, the customer service has been fantastic. It may seem like it's kind of too good to be true sometimes, with all the finicky requirements that especially lenders have with flood zones, but it's worth looking into. Worst case scenario, if y'all can't appeal it, you're in the exact same spot that you would have been anyways. Best case scenario, you can get a partial or even a full appeal. And then, either way, it still benefits your bottom line. I highly recommend anybody explore y'all as an option to help with any properties that are in a flood zone.
Well, thank you. We appreciate that. Yeah. And, obviously for other folks, the review up front doesn't cost anything. So like you said, worst case, things stay the same. But, like in your case, we had about a 50% batting average across the portfolio. That's pretty consistent with, even our national average. So I look forward to seeing what else that we can do together. And, thanks for being a great client.
Thank you. We really appreciate y'all's support.
And